Hey, on February the 28th, Saturn is going to be going into the heart of the sun. And this is such an important point. It's his journey through the sky where he dies and is born again. And you are going to do the same thing. Some part of your life that's connected to the Pisces real estate in your natal chart is experiencing a death and rebirth. So we're going to talk about what this might mean for your sun, moon, and rising sign. Listen most accurately for your rising sign. This is a rebirth and death cycle, however, that has a bigger story than just February the 28th. We want to talk about how it requires Saturn traveling through Pisces for this to even happen. And the last time that Saturn spent any real time in this part of our sky was 1994 to 1996. And he's back again since last March of 2023 to February of 2026. So this means that for 3 years, there's a part of your life, some segment of your reality. It could be your children, your love, your career, your health, your money, that is having a Saturnian reset over those 3 years. And this is an important understanding. I call this a simple God's clock. It is a synodic cycle of the sky. And so when you look at the sky, just, oh, what's going on today? Mars is conjunct Venus. No, that's a reset button that lasts 2 years between love and money stories. We just had that on February the 22nd, and I put a video out on that 2-year reset. So always think of everything about planets coming together, resetting a cycle for your life. All right. When else was Saturn in the sign of Pisces, where he kept bumping into the sun, dying in the heart of the sun and being reborn? He was there in 1935, 36, and 37, co-joining with Saturn, 1965 and 1966, and then 1994, 1995, and 1996, always in February, March, okay? Because it is the season that this occurs when the sun is in these environments in the sign of Pisces. So here we are again. We're going to experience the first one in 2024 on February 28th, and it is a very special rebirth because it is also containing the planet Mercury. So it's a triple rebirth. Mercury's being reborn with Saturn holding his hand in the heart of the sun. The two of them are doing the death and rebirth together. But in March 12th of 2025, it happens yet again, but without Mercury. So I hope that's a good understanding. Let's roll. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian, and I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac and the whole sign house system. I love the fixed stars and minor asteroids. If you're new here, give me a try. Hit that like button, subscribe, try the notification bell. I put out like 30 videos a month. You might be interested. I'm only telling you this now about my Sky Reader course that starts in April. It's a 6-week-long live course with me with weekly Q&As, a Facebook group. And if you can't make the classes, that's okay because you get to keep the replays and they're housed for you in a particular teaching environment called Padaya that I have. And you have evergreen, ever access forever to the content. You want to learn astrology to time your best life and be your own astrologer. That 6-week course is going to help you do that. So check it out. In the description box, there is a little link to get it into the wait list. The description box is under the more button, wait list, because when I open the cart and before I do to the public, you get early bird discounts and active notices about when things begin. Now let's talk about Saturn. And this is not a long video. This is going to be about an hour. So you can time yourself here because some of you know I put quite long content out as well. I want to give you the lay of the land. According to astronomers, by the way, and I love this. I got this at an astronomy website, not astrology, because astrology and astronomy are the same thing. In the ancient world, there was no difference. According to the gist of it, on an astronomy website, the planet Saturn is not visible in February or March. Now, he was visible in January, and that's in the evening sky. Now he is coming into his birth as a morning star or morning version of himself, available to the visible eye before the sun rises. Yes, at dawn, right? At dawn in the morning sky in the month of April. This implies that Saturn is off duty. He cannot be doing very much when we can't see him. In the ancient tradition, not seeing a planet while they're invisible or in the heart of the sun means that they're actually quite vulnerable. They're quite like if you were going to go into a death throw and then be born again, which we all do, I think, right? We die and we come back reincarnated. You're kind of like not busy cooking kitchen with, watching TV, killing it in your career. Like, you're in a different stage, right? So he's very old. He's been very tired as we went December, January, February, and he moves through this part of the sky now, Pisces, where the sun is waiting for him. This conjunction is at 9 degrees of Pisces. If you are a Pisces sun, moon, or rising, of course, it is going to impact you the most. You can listen for your sun sign to be with career and purpose issues and father type figures in your life, moon, mother and mother type figures, home, safety needs, the body. But then the rising sign is all about you, the character you're here to play in the game of life, and can be perhaps a little bit more accurate. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the idea first, and then we're going to go to your sign. With Saturn going into the heart of the sun and being very old and tired, you might consider him a cranky old man, right? He's like really grumpy. He's getting ready to die. Whatever he was doing in our lives in the month of December, where he was still visible in the late evening, ostensibly you could see him in the evening sky. Maybe or maybe not, he was half-assed off duty. But now, hey, he's completely, obliterated under the beams of the sun. We call it combustion when he's about 8 degrees away. I think that combustion was available around the 21st or 22nd of the month of February, but then he's heading right into the heart of the sun on the 28th. The 9-degree mark is interesting, okay? And I always want you guys to go back, because a lot of you are going to remember you were alive in 1994, 5, and 6, right? Spring of 94, 95, and 96, when Saturn was in Pisces, what part of your life you were working on. And particularly the Pisces and the Virgo, the Sag and the Gemini folk. You guys are what we call angular to this, and you're all mutable signs. You would have felt this energy back in 94, 95, and 96 very acutely, very intensely, as well as you're going to feel it again this way. And again, if someone's old enough to remember 65 and 66, that's wonderful. I was very young, so I don't remember it, but I was alive. I was born in 62. I think it's when my parents bought a new house and we moved, but that's my vague memory of that time of moving into a new home. Let me just think about that. That's probably close to about right. Now, let's talk about the idea of the Sabian symbol. There's a thing called a Sabian symbol, 360 degrees around the wheel. Each degree in the zodiac has a Sabian degree that is a channeled symbol by Elsie Wheeler in the 1930s. And now this book, Diana Roche, The Sabian Symbols, is what I'm referencing. I find this fascinating because the Sabian 10 degrees of Pisces, you always round up. This conjunction is at 9 degrees of Pisces between Saturn, Sun, and bracket Mercury. And we round it up, and it is Pisces 10. And the Sabian symbol is an aviator in the clouds. Keyword observation. Now, I like what she says here. I'm going to read it. She talks about it being a global perspective and rising above the limitations of the eye-to-eye problem solving, and viewing things from a higher and more holistic point of view, like a bird's eye view. Up in the sky, looking down at things, could get a better perspective in each of our lives where this Pisces reset button is happening. So I think I can relate a lot. I'm an Aquarius rising. This is my second house of earnings. I'm looking at ways to change my earning structures because people want to see me. I got 1,600 people on a wait list. I can't see all of you. I have to create new structures for my business that are doable, that I don't burn out. So that makes sense for me to want to get a bird's eye view in this reset. So think about, like, what were you guys doing in 94, 95, 96? That would have been a similar kind of, not a bird's eye view, but a reset in your Pisces zone. When I get to the all signs, I'll remind you of this, okay? 94, 95, 96 as an Aquarius rising, second house matters. What was I up to? Oh, I changed my way of making money. I left behind the journalism career, and I moved into doing psychic readings, and I became a psychic reading remote viewer. And that was that transition of how I changed the earning strategy. So this stuff does work, guys. Some of the key words that Diana has, I really like: creative and abstract thinking, the development of new ideas, broad-mindedness, exceptional scope of vision, and the ability to foresee and plan effectively for future needs. So I'm going to address this in our all signs as kind of a bigger eyes view, foresight and planning for each of us in our Pisces zone. And let's look at the sky together. And if you're enjoying my content in the live premiere and you're one of my regulars, thank you so much. Boiling Frogs, Herbal Empress, Grounded Extracts, and all of you, Ellie Taylor, Misbehaving, Serge LaBelle, Michael Thrash, and Psychic Readings with Rose, and Enchanted something tarot. Thank you guys. Hit that like button and continue to help this channel thrive so that I can continue to create content for you. This is the sky. I hope you guys can see it. And what we've got going, let me make sure I am sharing. Yay, I am sharing. What you have down here is the Cazimi. Neptune has been in the sign of Pisces since 2011. Saturn joined him in March of 2023 and leaves in February of 26. They will cross the fence together and create a conjunction in Aries. That's going to be exciting to write about and to talk about here. But that's not happening until 2026. And at this point, it's kind of like Saturn says, make your dreams concrete and real when he tangos with Neptune. Be sober-minded and realistic about what you imagine is possible, and then go for it. However, also be flexible and adaptable, because this is a mutable sign. Now, here we have the conjunction of the Saturn and the Sun. Don't forget, as I mentioned, it's special because of Mercury. But I've done a whole video on that, and you'll be able to watch that probably just before this video came out. I talk about the rare triple conjunction here. This is focused simply and most directly on the death of Saturn in your Pisces real estate. Like if this was a Scorpio rising, which is what it's set for, it's in their house of babies, children, love, romance. So get the idea here, right? There's a very strong and very intense focus here on your Pisces story. But on top of that, this is a whole sign house system. And when we do astrology on YouTube, we are literally, as all astrologers on YouTube, except for Annie Botticelli, who takes time to try to break it down Placidus style or something by degrees or segments, we're all talking whole sign houses. So it is the ancient house system. Once you go whole sign, you don't go back, because you need to use Time Lord tools and techniques that only work most effectively with one whole sign, one whole house. I'm going to put a video out explaining how radically important this house system is for my own natal chart and other charts that I worked with, and how everything fell into place. If you don't know how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, please go to my description box, where I have a link to a free video tutorial that teaches you not only how, but why I prefer this system. And also, if you're looking at your Placidus and you say, oh no, Laura, you're wrong, that doesn't make sense. Trust me, you're just getting all confused because you're looking at your Placidus chart. And all of us astrologers delineate broadly in a whole sign house context for general bell curve astrology. I was in a premiere today, and one of the people in the room, her name was Ruth, was trying to convince me that as a Capricorn rising, she had her Saturn in her third house. Well, which is impossible, right? Because it's fifth house Capricorn, Taurus. And when we talked in the call about her life, like the live premiere where all my videos are on and people take questions, it became really clear to me, and I hope to her, that when we talked about the meaning of a Saturn in the fifth house, such as hardship with children or not having children or delay in children, that was her story. She was infertile and could not have children. And therefore, it really did fit to put Saturn in her fifth house in the whole sign house system for a Capricorn rising, not in the third house. Now, that's siblings, by the way. Let's get moving and talk about the idea here of how each of us is going to rebirth our fifth house, not just this year, 2024, February 28th, but March the 12th, 2025. We get two passes, not seen since 1994 to 1996, and not seen again for another 30 years. So unless you're 90, you're probably not going to get more than two of these in a lifetime, right? On average. So there's a lot of concentration of focus here, and this is Jupiter's house, and Jupiter is in the seventh house. Well, sorry, Jupiter is in Taurus. And so the thing is that Jupiter is witnessing the rebirth of Saturn in his own home. This is meaningful. This did not happen in our lifetimes right now yet. Maybe it did back in 94 to 96. Yeah. So why I want to bring it up is because this is going to happen right now, and March 12th. So March 12th, when this occurs in 2025, Saturn will have already moved into Gemini. And although he will witness this rebirth of Saturn, it's from a place of conflict or intensity. Here he's flowing in a sextile to Saturn. And he's like, yeah, we got this. Yes, I'm helping you. I'm midwiving in a friendly way, the success of this rebirth and its expression as Saturn becomes a morning star. And trundles April visibly onward. So I'm going to talk about what is being born now becomes more visible in April, is going to be supported by Saturn for each separate sign. Let's start with Aries. This is just a general idea. Your own natal chart is very individual to who you are. And so don't try to make a whole life path decision on general bell curve astrology. Like any bell curve, there are outliers on the bell curve. A lot depends on the natal condition of your Saturn, where he sits, and whether he can witness this rebirth. It also may depend on how Jupiter, the ruler of your Pisces house in your natal chart, is in terms of dignity and condition, and also whether he can witness this rebirth as he sits from his natal position and witnesses this current sky event. All right, let's get rolling. First of all, yay! Aries, I'm one of you. I have a moon and sun and Mercury in Aries. Welcome to this story of a rebirth we haven't seen since 1994 to 1996. And this is now happening in 24 and 25, where Saturn is coming into a death throw and a rebirthing of his potential focus on our lives in the 12th house of far off foreign shores, revenue we can generate from far off and foreign places, as well as your deep unconscious spiritual liberation and attainment, and sometimes things that have to do with your own self-sabotage and self-undoing. I can remember for me as a sun and moon that this was a time 94 to 96 where I clearly was working with international clients as a new career as a psychic reader. As you look at this, if you're in the online world, this is where you do your online business in the third, but this is where you generate money because you have a payment processor internationally receiving funds in such things as a Stripe account or a PayPal account or any other processing system that gives you borderless revenue. There is a reset in this part of your chart right now, but also you may reset addictions, bad habits, and self-undoings. If those are something you need to get rid of, you'll be working on that as well. So you can let go of the habits, addictions, and bad patterns that could be holding you back, right? Where you fall away from yourself. Is that 12th house. With Jupiter looking on from the earnings house, whatever's going on here will support you in your earnings. But hey, Jupiter is in the house of what you put in your mouth, food, and other substances. And he is like always making us want more and more and more when he's in the second. And now he's going to be supporting the rebirth of Saturn, maybe for some Aries, to curtail the excesses, either of spending or ingesting things. And while you are hopeful and optimistic about your finances and will do well, with the golden egg of Jupiter here, some of this energy is Saturn's wisdom as he comes through in April and gives you more structure and more form around dietary style and earnings style. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign in the sky, we see that there is a resetting of the Saturnian narrative we last saw 94 to 96. Here it's back again 24 and then March of 25. So on February 28th, you're going to see Mercury, Saturn in the heart of the sun. This is set for February 27th. Just ignore it because I had to progress the chart to get back to Aries and stuff. But, well, I can move it a day just so nobody gets all discombobulated. I'll get comments. I always do. Why does it say the 27th? So this is happening here, 9 degrees, and this is the reset of your 11th house. And this is where Saturn wants to help you make a change regarding your social networks and groups of belonging, your wider network of friends, and the gains from your career, including financial, particularly also the perks and rewards of doing well in your 10th Aquarius house. So there's a reset here that can also be a deeper layer of your forward 5-year plans for your life. And you may be really looking squarely at what you want to keep and what you want to ditch. Saturn in this part of the chart becomes visible to your naked eye, and it's an elder sibling house as well, and it becomes visible to your naked eye sometime in April. And this could be when you see the benefits of this fresh, brand new, younger Saturn popping out the other side, giving you greater career gains, longer and more enduring friends as well. Jupiter supports it from the house of your identity so that you feel good about it. You feel joyful, optimistic, and full of faith, happy and lucky about it. I know a couple of Tauruses who are letting go of some friendships that don't work for them as Saturn dies in the heart of the sun. If there is a friend that is wearing you down, and you feel tired and depressed after seeing them, then you will be letting that friendship go. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes the friendships can let go of you for other reasons as well. Like maybe they leave the country or something. And lastly, Jupiter says, you are big, bold, and lucky until the end of May. And whatever this is that's going on in your 11th house, it could also look like some greater financial gain or perks or rewards from your career showing up in April and moving onward throughout the next year. Let's go to the next sign. I did say it was going to be a quickie. So I have an acupuncture session today, and I need to be there on time. All right. So first of all, let's talk about Gemini. You guys are so loving this vibe because it does flow to you, right? This is no, sorry, cut it out. I got boggle-eyed over Venus. This is a reset that squares you. So as I said in the beginning of the video, you're a mutable sign. And it's going to mean it's going to bring critical changes in your life. But if you want to go back to 1994 to 96 or 65 to 66, you did this already. It's nothing new. Saturn is helping you restore, rechange, rebirth something in your career. Now, it can feel when Saturn's in your 10th house, which is last March till February 26, that you're working really hard, grinding. You're really pushing yourself to succeed to the top of a career mountain. But on the other hand, it can also be that you're really being recognized at a high level of achievement, like you're a master or authority in your field of endeavor. As a progressed Gemini sun, I have been experiencing that, but I'm also working very, very hard. So some of you may feel also with this is that something about somebody in authority over you, right, is kind of waning, like your expert authority boss or superior is kind of dying in the heart of the sun. Maybe they're retiring, maybe they're leaving your job. And for some of you, this can be an ability for you to be more successful because of the leave taking or eldering out of somebody in the workplace. Maybe you can rise up to a new level of power because of it. Let me just stop the recording and pause the recording. I know, guys, I apologize. It was my foot massage. People, it's a big day, acupuncture, foot massage. All right, moving back. So yeah, someone could leave the job, elder out, retire, and you may get some kind of good promotion or raise because of Mercury up here. So keep that in mind. Jupiter's witnessing this event, and don't forget, everything happens when he's visible. So wait till after April for this story to really give you the gist of what it's about. But here we have Jupiter witnessing this from your 12th house. And so backroom deals and negotiations in the workplace can emerge from this that favor you, and you're very lucky. Opportunities in career and work through foreign places and foreign shores and foreign entities can be one of the other elements, or some developments in your career allowing you to make greater gains from borderless income and international revenue that's percolating in the rebirth of Saturn and death of Saturn in your 10th house. You'll get this again on March the 12th next year. It's the first pass. I wanted to add one more thing. Father figures belong to the 10th. It doesn't have to be your dad. It could be a granddad or an elder that you respect like a dad, or you look up to as a father, or they're older. And the sun, an elder may be passing in your life. Yes, sorry, this happens. Saturn sun, death of an elder in your life that you perceive as a father figure is a possibility. And with Jupiter in the 12th, it may have some financial benefits for you as well. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks to me like what we want to say is flow, ease, and grace as a Saturn rebirth happens in your 9th house of God, which is a very, spiritual and faith and hope place. But with Saturn here, it's also maybe you becoming weary and tired of a particular spiritual philosophy, or it's an academic course curriculum or direction in your studies that's exhausting you, or maybe you're even looking at some kind of legal and court matters that are weighing you down, or some kind of hardship around foreign shore travel. This is kind of like Saturn's tired and old and he's dying, right? So remember that. And as this is happening, you're going to have a rebirth in April, and a new light will shine on this area of your sky. With Saturn here between, last March and February of 26, this is an ongoing structural thing going on here for you in the 9th house of God. You want to go back to 94 to 96 and try to compare notes if you don't mind, and for 65, 66 as well. Jupiter is witnessing this from the 11th house of good spirit. This can indicate some kind of support from an elder sibling, a friend as a benefactor or ally, or the actualization of some greater career gains. After all, you are trying to align with your truest purpose with Chiron in your 10th through till 2026, 7. And so, and in essence, what you're doing here is maybe looking also at some educational opportunities. I'm wondering maybe over April onward, a few of you may want to go to school to learn something, to professionally advance, or to increase your resources and financial gain from your career because of some educational direction. Don't forget, in March of 2025, this is going to return yet again. And at that point, Jupiter will be in your 12th house, which often indicates educational pursuits, especially in post-secondary ways. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is going to be Saturn's death and rebirth as he's old and tired, coming into the heart of the sun in your 8th house of chunky money. Okay, you don't earn it, right? It's not your paycheck. It's like, oh, I got an inheritance. Oh, I got a tax rebate. Or I borrowed money from the bank. Or I got a mortgage in order to buy the house. You're collaboratively sharing other people's resources, whether it's a bank or a stock investment or whatever. So this kind of money is something that Saturn's focusing on for you between 2023, March and February of 2026. And this is his rebirth here, and he's going to rebirth again in March. Now, it's also a house of death, and an elder can pass here. Saturn can represent the senex, the wise men, the wise woman, the elder. The sun is a death moment in the heart of the sun. Mercury, news of the death of an elder, grandparent, something like that can happen here. With this, did I say Leo? I did say Leo, yeah. So I am on Leo. Did I say Leo? And so what I would say to you guys is that if something like that happens, don't be surprised. You go back to 1994 to 1996. What was going on in this chunky money and death and rebirth house anyway? Did you lose a grandparent, elder parent, an eldering, uncle or aunt or something, 94, 95, and 96? That could be one of the stories. With April being Saturn's visibility, it may be a delay. It may be that you hear about this in April, for instance. I don't know, but he's not visible until April. But with Mercury there, it's like the news is fit to print. But Mercury will not be visible for a couple weeks after the 28th. So again, we need to be able to see visible planets for things to occur. Saturn's going to help you structure and be wise and be responsible and dutiful about your longer range money, including money shared with a significant spouse or partner. And so that might be very much on your radar starting in April. And even looking at squarely expert authority advice regarding taxes. Jupiter witnesses from your career house involving the idea that there are some positive career and reputation stories that he wants to say, I've got this, let me help Saturn birth in my house, and I'll give it a bit of a boost in the 10th. So whatever you're doing in the back end of your 8th house can also look good on your professional career and reputation, especially after April, as we see the Saturn becoming much more visible in the sky. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. So Saturn is dying in the heart of the sun in a marriage house. Let's talk about this. Saturn got here last March. He just doesn't get out of here until February of 26. And you're going to see this on next March. So February 28th this time and March 12th next year. If you're old enough, go back to 1994, 95, and 96. What was going on in your significant, committed, long-term monogamous love relationships? Because this is a hard transit, right? Every one of you Virgos will feel, especially rising, like love can be really hard, or your partner's bossy, cold, melancholic, and withdrawn. But this is not an easy transit for long-term relationships. And it's going to be testing this relationship's foundation and asking you whether you want to keep it or ditch it in the next 2 years. So, and as this happens, by the way, Juno, the asteroid for marriage herself is sitting in Virgo looking across at this. So a lot of should I stay or should I go energy here for you. Because Mars is not going to be visible until April. Saturn's not going to be visible until April. That's when you're more likely to know what the final outcome of the story, what might be about. Jupiter's witnessing in a favorable way, and it's his house, right? From your 9th house of God. Now, this is about academics often, right? Academics, court and legal matters as well. Certainly, this could be the resolution of a very long and tiring legal case. But Jupiter here is also in the house of, what your faith and hope in life is about, what you believe is true, that gives you spiritual sustenance. And this is very much a time when Jupiter moves through Taurus last May until the third week of May this year, where a lot of people either go back to school, kick ass in their higher educational settings, like you're winning at the game of education, or you find a guru, teacher, or spiritual path that really is important to you. So I'm wondering, especially with the spiritual part of it, if any of you are going to feel much more connected to a spiritual path as Saturn becomes more visible in the sky and begins to rise to visible status in April. If you're in book publishing, that's the ninth house. Third house is contracts and agreements. So sometime after April, some of you may be birthing into a new positive direction with the book publishing industry stories. This is third marriage environments, and third marriages can be involved in a renewal, rebirth, and reset here. I do like Jupiter supporting this rebirth. So if you've been having a hard time in a long-term committed relationship that you consider your third major relationship, this can really open up some success and some repair work for most of you. Now we're moving into Libra, sun, moon, and rising. And what happens here is Saturn's tired and old and weary, and he's coming into this death throes in February 28th. And then by April, he becomes visible and begins to tell you what he's doing in your workhouse. Work, health. Now you grind when he's here. I know this one. I've had it. I know people have had it. Saturn in the sixth house means that your work life is hard. You're really pushing, you're perseverant, you're disciplined, and you're working really hard. So in the work environment and the colleague coworker space, this is a time of hardship, but also of endurance and the success that comes from not giving up. Therefore, consider what you were doing in the work environment 94, 95, and 96, because with Saturn here from last March of 23 to February 26, it's a redo. But this is also the same two periods that Saturn went into the heart of the sun and will be doing the same kind of reset. It's a health house, and because it's a house of sickness, and therefore health challenges that come here are usually, I'm going to just say karmic. I often see that people do have health challenges when Saturn goes through here. Pisces does rule the feet, but they often don't last. The health problems are not, they go when Saturn leaves and moves into your seventh house, and things do resolve. So watch for, a end of a health challenge, because Saturn's dying in the heart of the sun so that he can be born again. And then maybe that challenge will end. But also I wonder when he becomes visible in April, if there is not a beginning or a new beginning in an area of work and career, like a new job. And with Jupiter supporting from the eighth house, it's really good for your money, a sign-on bonus, a commission, a great dental and health benefits or perks like that. With Jupiter watching from the eighth house as well, just the concept of your long-range chunky money, treasure chests of money, or tax status and money can be really a part of what seems to be more visible to you and more helpfully successful for you after April onward, which that is tax season in North America for most of us as well. And I think that's all I need to say to you guys. Pets. Saturn dying in the heart of the sun, if you have an elder pet especially, can be the passing of an elder pet, as well as because rental contracts and agreements for tenancies, are here. There can be some endings of a current tenancy agreement for rental property and the beginning of a new one in April as things begin to become more visible to you as a Libra. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. So in the heart of the sun goes Saturn, old and decrepit, being born again on February 28th and again on March of 2025. So this is an area that's now active, last active for you in 1994 through to 1996. February, March, like it's always a springtime story, but it's a whole vibe. This is children, fertility, pregnancy, romance, joy, creativity, entrepreneurial endeavors, creative projects. It's where your spark of joy is, though, where you find the joie de vivre and where you're intuitive, naturally enthusiastic. I started calling this the why you get out of bed in the morning house. And I heard that from another astrologer years ago, and I really never forgot it. So with Saturn here, life can feel hard. Your joy can feel depleted. Your sex life can feel rote or on hold. Your romantic life can feel hard. It may be feeling like having a child. Your children are hard on you. or that you have hardship going on for your children. All these kinds of things here are going on, Scorpio. Now, Saturn here is also mastery, and you'll see for creative people, he's asking you to be the master of your creative art, to dig in, to persevere, to not give up, to keep on going. With this Heart of the Sun rebirth, something you may have been working on as a creative project, you're putting it to bed, you're retiring it out, you're exhausted. For entrepreneurial businesses, some of the same stories apply. He will be coming into the visible sky in April, and he's being supported in his death by Jupiter in your 7th house. So things that are going on in your 5th house can really be helped out by your significant love partner or business partner, or even sometimes a significant client or a customer supporting this rebirth. Or archetypally, you could say the marriage house is supporting the rebirth of Saturn. So that could be significant people in your life really helping you get through this time of difficulty as you try to birth something more stable, enduring, and lasting and masterful in your creative and entrepreneurial house and children and romance. Can you have a romance with Saturn here? Yeah, but it'll be definitely somebody, that is going to be maybe older than you. But also when it comes to getting pregnant with a child, that could be a karmic pregnancy for you or your partner. So keep that in mind, a very karmic relationship indeed. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. We all love the speed, don't we? Lori really wants to get to her foot massage / an acupuncture today on time. So don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and all the notification bells are there. Everyone in the live premiere. Okay. Sagittarius. This is a very important story for you here because it's what we call angular. It's one of the mutable signs. It's happening here for you in the 4th house of home, property, real estate, domestic life, private life, your mom and dad, maybe mostly mom, your childhood, your ancestral line, your family of origin. Okay, there we go. All the 4th house meanings are fit to print. Legacy wealth as well. Saturn's coming into the heart of the sun. He's getting old and he's going to die. That means that something in your home life or home domestic property, land, and real estate is coming to a close. Last saw this kind of intensity here in 1994 to 1996. Go back to those themes I mentioned. Now it's here again, and also in March of 2025. So sometimes Saturn is like an elder in the home. Does grandma, grandpa, are you taking care of an elder parent or grandparent since March of 2023 through to February of 26? That if that's the case, that an elder into the heart of the sun in the house of the family of origin can literally be the eldering out to the other side of the death story for an elder in your story. It just can be that life happens. Otherwise, you may be closing up or finishing up something to do with your land, home, and property as Saturn comes into the heart of the sun and is in his death throes. I do want to get complicated, but Saturn does rule people's, in your case, your 2nd house of money. So this death throw of Saturn definitely can involve some financial stories as well. So consider that as a possibility because he rules your house of earnings. And as he's going to the heart of sun and dying, he's got this support from Jupiter. And that's in a house of your work, tenancies and rental agreements, pets, and health. Your health and sickness matters particularly. So perhaps you're turning around a health problem by going in a new direction about what you do. That's enduring and stable and perseverant in your home. But also, this can look certainly like some kind of rental contract expiring, looking for a new home, looking for a new home site. Saturn here is often architects and builders. Are you thinking of building a new home? Jupiter in this 6th house is a work house. Could you have a new work opportunity that wants to emerge, especially April onward when Saturn's visible? And it may be a work opportunity that you feel good about because Saturn will be fresh and new for a few months afterwards. And it also allows you to stabilize certain matters, including finances and things to do with your home life. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Here we have Saturn heading into the heart of the sun. I just did Sagittarius. I apologize. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Here we have Saturn, the Lord of your sign, most important sign for planet for you, the Lugna Lord of the planetary ruling body of Capricorn, moving into the heart of the sun in your 3rd house. Now, that's your younger siblings or siblings in general, cousins, nieces, and nephews, or people that might be around you that aren't your family of origin of the 4th house folk. This is also potentially anything to do with your neighbors and neighborhood, as well as writing projects and in virtual neighborhood like social media land. as well as learning, but a skills-based learning, like getting a license or getting an education that you can apply directly to a skill. And the death of Saturn here is tired. He's old. He's winding down. On February 28th, he's getting reborn. And on March the 12th, he will. And then in April, he'll be visible. Don't forget, he does the same death throes in March of next year. Now, you had this in 1994, 1996 to 1996. It's nothing new. And also 65, 66. What was going on here in your life back then? Depending on your age, some of you will be able to compare notes. It's such a busy house, right? It's so many things. It's like the fish bowl that we swim in, the water that we're swimming in. It's our everyday reality, our daily, local contacts, shops and restaurants, the commute. So what is getting a change here? And it's like short distance travel as well, not just commuting, but like usually domestic travel. Saturn has been like weighing on you here since last March and will weigh on you here till February of 2026. And now he's like really tired and maybe tired of a travel or tired of a sibling story. Saturn in the heart of the sun can be a hardship for a sibling as well. And he's going to die in the heart of the sun and be born again out the other side. You might want to compare this to any hardship sibling stories, 94, 95, and 96. For some of you, that may resonate and make some sense. And now we have another sibling hardship story, for example, or neighbor hardship story, or cousin hardship story. You will find that in April, whatever this is for will be visible to you. The good news is that it's happening to be also asking for support from Jupiter, who is in your fifth house, which is a good house of good luck, good spirit, not good spirit, good fortune, good fortune. I mean, you can win a lottery here all the way through to the end of May, as you still have Jupiter here till May 26th or so. So with Uranus, surprise. So you could have some money surprises, speculation, good luck in money, as Saturn, especially in April, becomes more visible as he comes out of the heart of the sun and is now a more virile form of himself in the morning sky. So you could have some unexpected financial bounty coming from this as well. But you may be able to tie in something to do with entrepreneurial business endeavors, your children, your romantic life, being very supportive of this Saturn rebirth story. Jupiter wants to make some good lemonade out of anything that Saturn's up to. It's certainly not lemons, right? He's making something positive here. Jupiter wants to massage the data. And Jupiter's flowing to your ascendant right now. So this is doubly good for Capricorns as an experience of something really wanted here for you. And it can really help you find like a joyful new skill that you want to learn something, because honestly, the natural talents and gifts that you have belong to the fifth house, and the rebirth is in the writing and communications and education house. Some of you may be really succeeding there. If you're an entrepreneur online, this is also very good for your entrepreneurial business and your greater success post-April in what masterful things that you're putting out into the online world. All right, Aquarius, as you know, I am one of you. We're having this energy here of our Lord of our sign in our second house since last March through to February of 26. It is actually good for us. It's structure. We spend less, we save more, we structure our money, our taxes, our chunky money's on our radar. We're trying to organize our finances. We're trying to create enduring, lasting, and legacy value to the way we earn money, right? On the other hand, Saturn constricts and restricts, and he's constricting not just spending, but also constricting our ingesting of foods. And I thought I might quit coffee because I heard it's bad for my thyroid and I have Hashimoto. So things like that, I might be like, oh, really constricting coffee is one of my like pleasures of life, but whatever. So we're going through a kind of constriction of foods we eat and things we ingest. We're going through a sort of a tough love taskmaster over our earnings and money story. And as this is occurring, we have experienced this before, 94 to 1996. Remember that? When this is nothing new. I'm used me as an example. That's when I changed careers and gave up the ghosts on the old path of journalism and writing fiction and moved into a psychics readings career. So I saw that turn out as a positive thing, but we're back again. Now, this is happening with support from Lord Jupiter, right? So, Jupiter in the fourth house is whatever this rebirth of Saturn is. And as Saturn becomes more visible in April, May, and onward, we're going to see, like in the rest of 2024, this idea that something positive is happening with, especially until the end of May, when Jupiter's still in your fourth house, something good is happening with home, land, property, domestic environment, legacy wealth. This could definitely look like inheritance monies for some of us because of Mercury, owner of the eighth, sitting with this rebirth. And so there's a lot going on that's very good for finances here. Jupiter is really the wild card because he's with Uranus, and he will co-join with Uranus April 21st. So there's almost like a kind of a surprise Jack in the Box coming up. I'll be talking about that when I do another deep dive into the reset button of Uranus Jupiter, because I will be hearkening back to the rise of Saturn being embedded within the structure in the video I put out in the month of April. And sometimes, because see, the second house isn't just earnings, it's voice, vocation, and calling, from the Latin word vocare. And I think that a lot of times we just make, oh, it's your resources and money and possessions. It's deeper than that. And so a lot of you are doing a deep weariness as Saturn comes into the heart of the sun for the first time since 1996. And like, you're literally dying in the vocation. You need to rebirth something here. You need to find something new. And you'll be doing that this year and next year as a result of this dying, being reborn archetype. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for you. And Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. So here we have, in the dying in the heart of the sun, Saturn's story, and this is occurring for you in the house of you. Now, you had this in 1994, 1995, and 1996, also in 1965 and 1966. You are being reborn. Now, you might go with your sun, the part of you that's your career and purpose is being reborn, Pisces. Your moon, your home, your safety needs, and your body. And then rising sign, you are really, the character of you is being deeply reborn here. And as this is happening, like, what part of you is serious and realistic, sober-minded? Ever since last March, you're like looking at the lens of reality through the Senex, the sage, the wise woman, the wise man within you. And part of that is also just really, really realistic. You may feel burdened. You might have some health challenge. You might have felt the weight of the world on your shoulders since last March when Saturn entered this part of your sky, especially Saturn first 10-degree Pisces folk. But Saturn is not out to get you. He is like your Obi-Wan Kenobi or your sage-like character in his best disposition, and he's trying to give you wisdom. So as he's coming through here, and he's tired, he's really weary, he's hobbling to the sun to die and be born again. What has been going on for you since he's been invisible right now? Like literally probably at the end of January, you wouldn't have been able to see him through to all of February and March, right? Like this is the part of you that's going offline, but in like a, exhaustion, like a marathon of exhaustion or a fatigue of some sort. And yet he will come into visible sky again as a morning star in April, and you will rise. You will rise into a new iteration of yourself from the death of the old and the beginning of the new. This is being supported by Lord Jupiter, which we really love, right? Because he's helping from your third house of siblings, trips and travel, skills-based learning, communication and writing, neighbors and neighborhood. And so these people and these events and these parts of your sky are highly supportive of this journey, of the fatigue you had being restored into some new development of where you want to put your efforts in a long-lasting, enduring, masterful way. And everything, guys, this is your steering wheel of your chart. Like this is like the ship of your chart has a helm, and this is the helm. And Saturn is the wise man at the helm of your life. You can't say no, right? Aquarius has had that between 2020 and 2023. Now you guys have the Saturn at the helm of your life. Where is it steering you? Where does Saturn wise one want you to go that has legacy, lasting, enduring value? Think of it that way, value. I mean, Saturn is the ruler of your 12th house of foreign lands and enlightenment-y stuff, and also your 11th house of elder sibling. These characters may play a role as well. And also for you Pisces, this is a Saturn who, he's going to do this only one more time in most of our lives, right? You got to go back, you got to go like, will you be around 29, 30 years from now? Some of you, but some of you won't. So this February 28th and March 12th are life pivot points for you. Really going to turn the wheel of your story in a way that Saturn would say is smart and right. If you're a Pisces sun, moon, and rising, but especially rising in a long-term marital relationship, Saturn going over your ascendant is often an indicator of you assessing whether you want to stay in that relationship or not. And if it's not wise to be there, you will quit it. So of course, Saturn is going to be influencing in 24 more directly. People born between approximately 10 degrees and 20 degrees rising Pisces, but this death and rebirth here at 9 degrees is also impacting you people born with sun, moon, and rising in the first 10 degrees. So the first 20 degrees, sun, moon, and rising Pisces, some of you may be looking at Saturn, the Lord of time and karma and difficulty and constraint, looking over at your marriage descendant and saying, yay or nay. Yes or no? Mercury in the heart of the sun is also the Lord of your marriage house. So what not to worry you, but you're tired or exhausted in your marriage perhaps, and this is a death rebirth archetype this February and next March. It could be reborn. It could be the rebirth of a marriage coming from like, let's go see a marriage counselor, but it could also look like maybe for some of you, a death throes. All right. Oh, sorry about that. So everyone, I hope that was useful. That is Saturn dying in the heart of the sun and be born again. Don't forget, this is being recorded February 21st for my Patreon community. They get everything early access ad free. Then on top of that, they get one Zoom meeting a month with me for the $5 tier. And then for the $10 tier and all up, you get more meetings every month with me. You know, so it's accumulation of meetings. And if you want to join my Patreon community and try this out and get early access ad-free content, everything on YouTube they get before you, then give me a shot. I'm giving away Synastry, a key to relation, Chiron, your key to purpose, and Synastry, Are You My Person relationship astrology course. I'm giving that away for free. I taught it for resale right now for $33. You get the course for free if you want to come aboard. And if you get the courses and you download them and keep them and have access to them and all of that, you don't have to stick around. So it's called an ethical bribe. I'm giving you a bribe to try Patreon out. And why I do that, by the way, is first of all, I like to, the community is great. And I have more time to respond to my comments on Patreon than I do here on YouTube. But also one day YouTube can pull the plug for any reason. Poor Astrology, they pulled the plug on her because she dared to say that the pandemic protocols were not safe and effective. Now she turns out to be right, but they demonetized her, took her channel down, took forever to get it back and back up. And that's just not fair, you know? So this platform is fickle. It can change anything at any time. The algorithm can be working swimmingly well and suddenly tank. And so I don't trust it, right? So if I have you over on Patreon, where I have about 340 people right now, that community is solid and I can always be in touch. Another way to stay in touch with me is my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. I put out a newsletter every Saturday or Sunday, depends on if I'm behind schedule, and it gives you my write-up of the week ahead. And you guys get also early notice and discounts and a bunch of favors that you don't get without being on my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, a swig of weekly astrology news. So get onto that newsletter as well. Many people could be asking me about when my readings will open up again, and I'll just share with what's happening. I got a challenge with too many people on like wait lists, and Patreon gets first dibs, then my former clients, then the general public. Because it didn't work last time when I put the newsletter, when I opened the cart, kind of the spots up in January, everything sold out in 48 hours. First to Patreon, then to my former clients. So I will open some limited spots up in the summer just for newbies, because I feel bad that people who don't know me and never tried me before haven't had a chance to book with me. So summer spots will open up for people on my large general public wait list first. And then I will open up spots in the fall again for more of the Patreon community and former clients. It's the only way I can think, to be fair. I know it's a great problem to have, and I'm in demand. And next year, I'm going to be doing far, far, far fewer readings. Even at the end of this year, I am trying to write my book too. Deep Code Astrology and The Wine Lover's Middle Way. So to get all this stuff done, I need to have more time. So thanks guys for listening. Thanks for being a part of my crew. Thanks to all my regulars. And I'm off to my acupuncture and foot massage. Bye-bye.